inverter and a battery. Meaning that you must have a electrical power supply from outside to charge your battery. All you guys are getting what I'm saying. And when there is no electricity, your battery will supply stored energy to the house. There's another part where we call the solar part. In the solar part, it means you yourself you can generate your own energy. Hope you guys know what I'm saying now. So you can put it as solar part. Solar part. In solar part, you can generate your energy. So under solar part, the first one that we have is we have our solar panel. This is a good example of the solar panel. I'm not sure if you have time to do. There are some nomenclature behind your solar panel. There are some nomenclature behind your solar panel here. Everything that you see here have here. And we'll use them in calculation. If you have enough time to do, you will vote either to design a solar for an average communal room or an average two-bedroom flat. After the solar panel, the next thing you have what we call the solar rack. This solar rack. Solar rack. We normally use the solar rack to suspend the solar panel to your roofing sheet or your carport. You know there are some design where solar will be installed on carport. I have a design close by here that will install 15 kV inverter, 5 kV 3 pieces. And in that port we have, that's 8 and still we have 24 solar panels. So you see this car park, but that car park is actually generating energy. There's another installation that I went to install motorized gauge there. It was the company that called me to install motorized gauge there that built the house. They installed 30 kVA solar inverter for that house. And we have 50 solar panels. That place can accommodate 10 cars. And on that roof is solar panels. So what you use to tie it, we have what we call our solar rack. We have the red made type that use Allen key. By tomorrow, I'll be posting a job. The job we did over the weekend. We use the red made rack. The other type of rack is what I'm holding here. If you are unable to get the red made is very expensive. You can also use this. This is cheaper and will do exactly the same thing that the red made will do. You can notice that these aluminum railings, maybe one should go around. You will notice that capacitor, it looks different from your normal aluminum railings. It looks different from all these designs. Yes or no?
Yes.
You can put it that the name of this type of railings is called interlock. When you want to go and buy it, this particular type of railings that we use for solar installation is called interlock. Now you need to get minimum of 13 bolts and nuts with a washer. You know that the function of that washer is that it will hold your panel firm to the rack. Hope you guys get what I'm saying now. So you need bolt and nuts with washer. The minimum of the bolt and nut must be what? 13, and the maximum is 17. Minimum 13. The moment is more than 17, it will not be able to enter anywhere again. Hope you guys get what I'm saying. So it's between 13 and 17. The next thing you need for your solar panel to work effectively, if you don't want rain to start entering inside the building, you know there are some solar installations that they, after they are done it, there was one we went to do. If you guys check my YouTube channel, there was a job I did last month. It was an hotel that we already giving that installation to another person. Like 15 rooms in that hotel. Is it 15 or around 10 rooms? All the places where they put solar, the places were leaking. So the moment rain falls like this, imagine you are in an hotel and the water starts pouring on the bed where you are. You go get it next time. It's not only that it can damage it can also damage the POP. You know when water starts falling on POP, what will happen? Your POP will collapse. So for us to prevent your rack from leaking water through the roof, we have this thing that we use. We call it flash bar. Put it down. Flash bar. Flash bar. We call it flash bar. Please, 1 hour. Please, we don't have much time. By 1 hour, by 2 o'clock, flash ended. And I want us to have enough time to practice. I thought by today I'll be through with all the theory of solar. So tomorrow we start practical fully. This flash bar, what it actually used for is that before you nail your rack, you put this flash bar between your rack and your roof. So that hole that is in the middle, this thing will melt when it reaches. So the hole that your nails have made, this flash bar, the moment there is sun, the rubber inside will melt and it will now form like an insulator within that hole. What do I get what I'm saying now? So there is no way water will enter through the nails that you have penetrated through the roof. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? Yes. Don't worry. If you later call me, okay, what's the name of that thing that you said we should buy? I want to install solar. Today you are seeing inflator like this. When you leave camp, you are no longer inflator. Any consultation like this comes at a charge. Or you call me, what's the name of that railings? Because there's one funny thing about those that sell all these railings. The moment you don't know the name of the type you want to buy, and now get that you now say, I want to buy the type that they use for solar. They might sell it for you and still of the normal cost. You must know the name of the railings that you want to buy. And what do I call the name of this one? Interlock. Interlock. And there is two ways you can use interlock. You can use your nail in between the lock or outside the lock here. But the best place to use is in between the lock. You should ask me a question. If I put nail there, there is no way my hammer can enter here. Yes or no? It's like you guys are not following me. So when I now say something, I now say something.
How do you nail it?
After you have nailed it and the nail have reached this surface, you now put one knot like this. You now put it on top of your nail and nail it inside. If you use hammer to hit this thing, the rack will not be able to enter. It will be something like this. It will bend. So the moment you nail it to this top, you just put a knot on it and nail it and it enters. And make sure that your rack is firm. You know it's going to the roof. You might have seen some installation in the past when the rain and the wind is too heavy. It can blow off your. Just imagine you now install like 5 panels of 60,000 square, and the job is not up to you. Who entered it? It's you now. You not enter debt in Jesus' name. Yeah. And if you enter debt, it will not be too expensive for you to bear. Nobody say it. Yes, your panels. It will hold your panels at both sides. So if this is not firm, this solar panel can follow. And these two guys will come up here. Two guys come. Somebody, one should hold it here, one should hold it here. You hold it at the other. So the moment, hold it at the other. The moment you rack, this thing enter here like this. You move it up, you enter here like this, and you pull it down. Okay, you cannot see what I'm saying. So by the time it's firm here, another knot will be at this other end. Yeah. There's another thing we call stop railings. Maybe when you get, maybe tomorrow I might discuss. Stop railings are the railings that you put at the extreme end of your panel. And maybe I should use this opportunity to explain railings very well. And if you don't have stop railings, you can cut out of this normal railings. You will measure the standard length of this panel, this length here. You cut the same length here, and you now put it at the other hand here, so that it can be firm. Okay. One house, please. One house, please. So when you put it at this end, so every other panel you just be adding them to it. At the other final end also, you put your stop railings. And I told you that if you can't get a ready stop railings, just measure the length, the height of your solar panels. Cut the same height here and put it here. So by the time your prayer is moving here, the same prayer is also at the other end, and it will make it to be very firm. If it's very firm, you don't need to start using rope to tie this thing again up. It should be firm that you can't fall like itself. Although in some exceptional cases, sometimes we use rope to hold it if the inclination is too high. Don't get what I'm saying? Yes. So there are two ways which we nail this prayer. You know, we have what we call the non-span And we have what we call the stone coated roof. Yes or no? The stone coated roof is what is called Gerard in this side of the world. They will say, I want to go and buy Gerard. Am I right or wrong? But Gerard is just a name of the company that first brought stone coated to Nigeria and make it more popular. Like when you go to the market, you want to buy seasoning, you say you want to buy what? Maggi. Maggi is just a type of food. You want to buy noodles, you say you want to buy Indomie. You want to buy detergent, you say you want to buy Momo. Same thing is also Gerard. It's called stone coated roof. In stone coated roof, you don't nail the top of the roof. And if you like, go and nail top of the roof. And there's no problem of stone coated roof. If you make mistake once like this, the whole set from down to up, they will remove it. So imagine you make one mistake and they remove like 30 sheets. And these sheets start from around 5,000. So that's why I said you should listen very well. In stone coated roof, you don't nail on the top, you nail the side. You know, it's always overlap. So by the time you nail the side, you now ensure that your nailing is not firm too much. After you are finished, by the time you tie this one up, it will go up by itself and stay firm. You know, it's always been like this. But if it's long span, you nail long span straight, not by the side. And if you like, do it both ways. Don't worry, maybe if your rack and your panel fall once, there's one thing about life. When we learn by our personal experience, we don't make such mistake again. Just imagine you want to be a millionaire, and the question that will make you win 10 million, you miss it. You know, for one funny thing, that answer to that question, you will not forget it again in your life. Yes or no? So that's the same thing with it. For stone coated, we nail by the side. For long span, we nail on top. And if you make a mistake the other way, you are on your own. So that's that about solar rack. The next thing we have what we call the NC4 connector. For your panels, most times your panel will have a male and a female MC4 connector like this. This is what we call MC4. You have the MC4, MC6, but the most common type is MC4. You have your MC4 connector. In a standard installation, we normally use MC combiners. It's either the connector or the combiners. With the combiners, you can combine multiple panels together. Am I right or wrong? How many of us are into solar installation here? Okay. So these like have someone that is doing it. But mostly, because MC4 connector are expensive, and you are bidding in a competitive market now. So many people are into solar, even those that doesn't know how to do it. You normally join the wires together. You can build wires and join them together. Hope you guys get what I'm saying. There is no difference between joining the wires together and joining the connector. But the most important thing is, if you are building wires and joining together, you must ensure that the wires are well insulated. There is no naked wire. If there is naked wire outside for the positive and the negative, and imagine you have like 20 panels. The moment there is rain, every rain, and those two wires cut, it will spark. At the moment it spark, what will happen with the panel? The panel, if it is spark like that, short circuit and destroy the panel, you will not see a point of impact. Everything will break like a glass that is fired. Some of us have seen expired glass before. It will break like paper, break into small pieces. In some extreme ignite fire that will burn the whole building. So that's why we normally advise that when you are joining the wires together, you use what? Is your masking tape. That's why I normally tell my guys, when we go for solar installation, don't manage black tape. Black tape is cheap, between 150 and 200. You just imagine now, because of 200 naira, you now spoil something of like 300 or 500,000. Does it make sense? So tape them very well. So it's either you use an MC4 connector or a combiner. Can I move on? Then the next thing we also have what called the DC cable. We also use this DC cable. It's the DC cable that we use in joining multiple panels together. Although we have what we call cable gauge. For those that study electronics, you notice that the higher the current, the what? The thicker your cable. Yes, the thicker your cable. The cable that will carry 1 mm. If you want to do lighting point like this, you can still use 1.5 mm cable or 1 mm cable. Can you use 1.5 mm cable to carry 2.5 horsepower AC? What will happen? Wire will blow. Hope you guys get what I'm saying. So you can go and go search that one. I don't have enough time, but we have what called gauge. Then we have different types of this DC cable. The best one to use for solar installation, we call it white copper cable. White copper. That is the best type to use for your solar installation. Because it allows easy flow of current. You know, in DC connection, you have higher current and lower voltage. A DC cable can carry as high as 100 amps. And the voltage that will go along like maybe 60 volts. But by the time you multiply 60 volts by 100 amps, how many watts do you already have? That's 6,000 watts. That's a lot of watts. But if it's AC now, your normal AC, your alternating current in your house is normally between 200 and 220. Except you are living in GRA. Most places in Nigeria, there are some places that you really see 130. Am I right or wrong? That the electricity will be like tomato light. What do you guys want to say? In that AC, you can have your 220 volts and maybe 20 amps. You already have like 4,000. But for you to achieve that same 4,000 in DC, maybe 40 volts and 100 amps. So because we have more amps that is moving along the cable, you must have the higher thickness of your cable. And if you are using wrong cable, how will you know that you are using wrong cable? One of the major ways you know that you are using wrong cable, apart from using multimeter to test the cable. What will happen to your cable? Thank you very much. By the time you touch it, it will be very nice. When you start noticing that your cable is getting hot, abnormally, it means the gauge of your cable is wrong. The thickness of the cable that you are using is wrong. If you are using the right thickness, the cable will be what? Will be as can you see now? So by the time I tie these two sides, it must be one. So DC cable. The next thing that we need, we have what called DC breaker. DC circuit breaker. What your DC circuit breaker normally does is that between your DC circuit breaker and your solar charge controller, between this cable that connects this to this, there must be what? A breaker. What is the function of that breaker? If an abnormal voltage is coming in from your solar panel, how can you get an abnormal voltage? Who can tell me one way you can get abnormal voltage from your solar panel?
Lightning sources.
Lightning. There are some lightning that when they strike like this, they destroy anything. Yes or no? Yes. I've experienced this before. Lightning struck our house. All the electronic gadgets are in the house. There was a place where we installed thunder arrestor and lightning struck the house. The whole place where we installed thunder arrestor, that it pulled out the whole of the place. I now told the person, it's only TV that got spoiled in the house. I told him that you should thank God that you have thunder arrestor. If it doesn't have thunder arrestor, everything in the house would be spoiled.
So even when it's not plugged to the socket.
The way they design the house, all the TV are plugged. They normally use just switch to put it on and off, so there's no way you can plug them. All you guys are what I'm saying now. So the function of that breaker is to break the circuits when there is an illegal or abnormal voltage between your solar panel and your charge controller. Then the next one we have our charge controller. I told you that we also need 2 DC breakers. I'll tell you the function of the other DC breaker later. This is our example of how a charge controller looks like. Maybe I should pass this one. The charge controller does 4 major functions.